Hey, everybody. Coming up on today's podcast, we're talking a little bit about a classic dune buggy that's gone the way of electric. There's a new cereal out, it seems, from Snoop Dogg. It's very delicious for shizzle. But maybe Jack White's got a few questions to ask Snoop about. I don't know. We'll see. Let's make a little noise for the all-new Dodge Charger Daytona SRT EV noisemaker. While saying goodbye to the two classic Hellcat SRT champs, which apparently the police are not very happy about. Talk a little bit about Ford's botched repair for a vehicle catching on fire. And then we have a little Knight Rider news. All that coming up right after this. Hey, everybody, welcome into the Counter Show. Say hello to my good friend and co-host, Keith. Hey, Keith.
Lucy, I'm home.
Hey, I love that show, man. That was probably perhaps one of the best shows. In fact, I think it was one of the most watched television shows back in its day.
You just like it because he could smack his wife back then.
Well, no, not at all. I do not condone that.
I think some of that went on that show. I'm
pretty sure it did. I think that Lucy was forthright with everything. She came forward with a lot of information about that. You know, whatever.
Whoops.
Anyway. Yeah, so I Love Lucy back in the day when there was no streaming. Statistically, it's hard to be one of the number one watch shows these days with all these streaming shows. And I think HBO just had a real big hit with the prequel to that Dragons.
Are you going to watch it?
Show.
It's the Game of Thrones.
No.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones. I'm just not into it, man. I can't get into hobbits and stuff.
I'm just not.
No, I'm sorry, man.
We just lost like bunch
all of our listeners. Yeah. I'm just not big into it, man. That's like the game Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not. Hey, if you play it and played it, and God bless you, man.
Well,
but I just didn't have time to make up stuff.
Season 4 of Stranger Things.
I deal in facts.
Plays an interesting homage to that. It's a little bit different, though. I mean, it's woven into kind of the nostalgia '80s. It's cool. But it's not like the whole show is an episode or a, what do they call them? An event of Dungeons and Dragons or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I know, man. I just, I personally could never get into something like that. Again, like I deal in, I like sci-fi stuff.
I get it.
You know, but, it's like Star Wars, man. I had no problem watching all those movies. I dig it.
You like to kill your orcs and goblins IRL. I get it.
Yeah,
in real life. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So, hey, how have you been? You good? You all good over there?
Yeah, better every day, man. I'm was listening as I was editing our last podcast, and I was way crunchier than I thought I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, you can't really fix that. It's I could hear it. It's good. Yeah. Feeling better. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm getting there. Doing a lot of traveling, as you well know, and got another trip coming up, man. It's just like, wow, I can't seem to stay put for more than a week and a half. Apparently, I've missed out on probably 5 or 6 weekends at home just due to traveling. So, but it's that time of year, in which, by the way, guys, thank you for listening today. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for supporting us. If you're just happen to be, walking by our show today, please subscribe. That helps us keep doing these things. We also have a YouTube channel. It's at youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus. Make sure you go over there and subscribe and hit the like, give us a thumbs up, hit the like, and hit notifications for some video segments that will probably come out of this particular podcast. And we are totally in at SEMA this year in November. We will be there, so make sure you definitely subscribe to that, because we're going to try to do some live podcasting from there, and also be bringing you some videos for over on our YouTube channel as well. So there you go.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, and I tell you, and here's what's funny about that. I really do feel that way about this year's show, because it's going to be kind of different. We've talked about that before with Ford not coming in full steam and GM basically saying meh, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, we're gonna do some things differently. I would like to say better. We're gonna do some things we haven't done at the SEMA show, content wise, and so that's all I'm saying at this point.
Yeah. It's true. We are. And maybe I don't even know what we're going to do.
Might have to do a little behind the scenes. We get Jay bitching about the no breakfast. They kind of shanked us on that one, didn't they?
What? Yeah. What's up, SEMA? You promised us food.
So yeah,
we got coffee. We did get some coffee. Actually, the coffee kind of ran out towards the end of the.
It did. So one of the tough things we've actually commented on this before is when you're media, it's kind of like that booth that you get in where they had the dollar bills and the tornado or whatever, and it's like you got a minute and you got to hold on to as many as you can.
Yep.
And that's our days and nights at SEMA. It's all how much content can we capture within the hours that we have. And to help with that, SEMA has been very kind in years past to media, where they just put out typically a morning meal of some sort. Mm-hmm. And we would show up, this year, and it was like completely wiped by, in the first 15, 20 minutes that the media center was open.
Right.
So that's what we were both referring to.
We figured it out, though.
They could learn a thing or two from Snoop Dogg.
They could learn a thing or two from Snoop Dogg. So let's talk about what does Snoop Dogg have?
Well, the Dogfather is getting into the breakfast cereal game. This is awesome. This is awesome on many. So I sent you. Do you remember this? Like a year or more ago, he did I like to call it a collab,
right?
Collaboration with Martha Stewart, right, on wine. Didn't they do a wine? And it was like I sent you a picture of it. I don't even remember what it was called, right?
Yeah.
So the Double G is diversifying his business portfolio, so to speak. He's getting into
And look, this guy he's host on game shows. He is rubbing elbows with the most oddest groups of people you wouldn't think to put those two together, like Martha Stewart and Snoop, but they work so well.
Yeah,
they're buds, man. I mean, big time buds.
Just last week, ironically, before we got wind of this, I watched a Netflix movie that was mildly entertaining. It was good, man, but it was like, I just honestly just needed time to not think. And so it's on Netflix. It's a vampire movie, stars Jamie Foxx. It's called The Night Shift, I think. Mm-hmm. Snoop has a prominent role in the movie. This is awesome. He's a big old shotgun-toting vampire killer who wears a big old Texas cowboy hat and boots and drives a lifted Dodge Ram pickup.
Dude, that just totally sounds like
he pulled it off, though.
Well, that sounds like a train wreck, man. Holy cow.
It worked. It was quite entertaining. So you just never know where he's going to show up.
Yeah,
but
you don't.
Now, Jay, I mean, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I mean, Snoop, there was a fair amount of Snoop that was the soundtrack to kind of, I guess in the 90s while I was in college, you were listening to, grunge. I was probably listening to a little Snoop Dogg, right?
Well, admittedly, I mean, I listened to some Snoop as well, man. I loved, because don't forget, because after that grunge movement, you had the Limp Bizkit crowd coming in. And so Limp Bizkit did some collabing with Snoop.
Oh, God bless Fred Durst.
Right, man. But I listened to Snoop before that as well. So
he loved to talk about the Lucky Charms, right? And his music.
Man.
All right, so
Fruit Loops, Lucky Charms, yeah, you bet. Man.
So he's coming out with his own, which is ironically not it's Snoop Loops. So it's more Fruit Loop themed, but the kicker is it has marshmallows, which, as we know from listening to the Dogfather, is the best part of Lucky Charms cereal, right?
Does it have marshmallow or marshmallows?
Okay. So apparently Jack White gets wind of this, everybody, that Jack White, and says he has some questions.
He posted this. Yeah, he posted it on Twitter and Instagram. He says, you want me to go there? I got it right
go
here.
Ahead.
Jack says, I would like to personally congratulate Snoop Dogg on his new cereal release and a pat on the back for its charitable benefits that it will be producing. Nice one, he says. But I do have a couple of important questions about the box the cereal is delivered to its customers. So, what he's talking about is on the box of Snoop Loops is, I don't know what is that
it's like a blue
fox or half
raccoon?
Rabbit.
I don't know
something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The ears are hidden behind the word loops.
Right. Well, what I'm saying, this is Snoop's world, so it can be anything you want it to be, man. So, but on the box, his box that he posted on
by the way, that's Captain Ace. That's the mascot, yes.
Okay, that's who that is, Captain Ace?
I got it here. Blue Siberian Husky Pup. There you go.
There you go, man. So anyway, on the box it says more marshmallows. Okay, so here we go. He says he has some important questions about the box that the cereal is delivered to customers in. In the press release from Broadest Foods, which is Snoop's Foods, is he doing that with his mom and a couple of other celebrities? Isn't that right?
I think so, yeah.
And of course, that's his last name. But the photo of the cereal box contains the words "more marshmallows," and so Jack White is asking, more than what? If this is in fact a brand new cereal, it can't be more marshmallows than before. Is it a statement that the cereal has more marshmallows than, say, a bag of sand or a typical Caesar salad? That's hilarious. Or is it a demand from Snoop Dogg himself that we just have more marshmallows in this world and in general? The last theory, Jack says, he hopes so. He wants more in the world. Lastly, the photograph on Master P's Instagram shows a different phrase. An unplural, more marshmallow without the S. Answers are demanded, and I totally get it, because it's like, should it be called marshmallow?
Ooh, enter the controversy, right?
Right. Because if you're talking plural, marshmallow, we need to check that out. So we're looking for help out there, guys. Please drop a comment, on our website, and let's find out about this. But this is pretty funny.
Lest we forget to mention, this is actually as stated on it. Everybody, the website is snooploops.com, and of course, everything is cooler when you replace an S with a Z. So it's SNOOPLOOPZ.com, Snoop Loops. And they are donating to charity in specifically to homelessness. And
right, it's a good cause.
Yeah. The heartbreak of homelessness can't be solved by providing a bed for the night, a hot meal and a shower, or financial assistance alone. We address the root causes of homelessness with our holistic approach while simultaneously keeping families together. So they're supporting charitable efforts with this cereal, which honestly is there's no better reason to go buy it. And then of course at the very end there's a quote from John 6:35, which is just interesting. So
it is.
Yeah. So
it's very interesting.
Yeah.
I will hats off to Snoop for doing this.
And
hats
Jack White,
off to
of course.
Jack White for casting the net of humor there, and making us all think about marshmallows.
Well,
and
they're
how
very
important-
delicious for shizzle.
They are very delicious for shizzle. Anyway, so there you have it. Snoop Dogg and his cereal. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it, man. So you remember when, I don't know if you recall this, but do you recall, were you a big Shaggy and Scoob fan? You know, Scooby-Doo?
Yeah. Back when we had like 5 TV channels, that was all that was on after school for a good while.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, so
Zoinks.
Zoinks. Oh, I don't know, Scooby. I can't do it as well as my son can. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. We need a Scooby soundbite. But that buggy reminds me of that's very similar. It's just a 1960s
right.
dune
the
buggy.
Whole show
basically.
is basically a throwback to a nod to that era. So we're talking about and I had the Hot Wheels, and
I did too.
Found and I think sent you a picture.
I think I may have given one to said oldest child when he was a kid. Those electric jobs.
I have an old Tester's McCoy, 049, as they called them. That's the picture I sent you of that buggy. We'll have to put a picture up here for everybody, but it was iconic, right? It was the Dune buggy. Yeah.
I mean, you know it when you see it, and Myers it's always been that, correct? Myers Manx,
I believe, yeah.
And
which I didn't know was around anymore.
I didn't either. I mean, I've seen kit cars of these things around. In fact, there's one rolling around here in the summertime, but it's old school, and obviously it's based on the VW Beetle. That's basically where it got its body and feel for. Mm-hmm. But here we go. Enter the Meyer Manx 2.0 Dune buggy that will be available. It's an all-electric version of that classic Dune buggy. And it has some really awesome specs. And obviously it's not in production yet, and we're going to get into how you might be able to take part in this. I think Keith wants to take part in this thing. Well,
so first of all, Myers was sold to a venture capital firm about a year and a half ago. So there's been incentive there by the now owners of the brand to monetize it, right?
Right.
And
I think the firm was called Trousdale.
I think that's right. So, so here we go with kind of bringing back vintage, nostalgic vehicles. I mean, Volkswagen kind of leaned that way with the ID Buzz, and it's happened in other places. DeLorean, right? I mean,
right.
So, I mean, even though that was from a different generation,
I think there's certain sectors that you can totally do that and get away with it. And DeLorean was a no-brainer. I think this one is too.
Yeah. So this one's going to be called the Myers Manx 2.0, and the part that Jay was referring to, where you can get an opportunity. So they're offering pre-order. It's $500 pre-order, and they're saying that it's fully refundable. So that's become the standard in some of these EV pre-orders. Even when Ford did the Bronco on the internal combustion side, I believe that was a refundable scenario.
Absolutely was.
But the thing that I feel like I don't care for as much, and we just talked about this, GM was doing it. With the Lyric, where they were offering, what was it, a $5,000 discount for early Lyric owners?
$5,500, but you had to sign an NDA.
Okay. And so we've become this sort of...
No, wait a minute. You're talking about just a deposit or
no,
reservation?
I'm talking about it's a beta test scenario.
Right. Yes. Okay. So there we go.
So GM said, "Hey, we'll give you a $5,500 discount if you're an early buyer," which essentially is a tester.
Right.
But sign this non-disclosure agreement. You're not allowed to talk about it. And if you want more information on that, go make sure you subscribe to the podcast. It's literally, I think it was on our last podcast, so it's the one before this one. And you can get more info there. It's on our website at partscounterguru.com. But they're doing the same thing here with the Myers Manx 2.0. They're basically saying, we need beta testers. We'll get it to you early. We want you to give us feedback. It's going to be open to 50 owners. You've got to agree to drive it for a minimum amount of mileage, which in my mind means you have to drive it at least so much, and they want you to do it over a 12-month period in certain environments and all that. Well, I mean, I guess this is only fitting. We're in this era of surveys that I just despise, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I don't buy anything or call anybody anymore without them wanting to take a survey at the end. My time is not free, everyone, and nor should yours be. You know, the more freely you give away your time, the less it's worth. Now, I'm not talking about charitable contributions, but I'm not going to fill out sheets of information for people that just because they ask me to. Like that,
right.
No, it costs money, you know?
Here's the way you and I, and most everybody has been brought up to deal with these situations up until the last 5 years, which was new vehicle came out. If you liked it, you bought it, and you drove it, and then you found out whether it was good or bad, and you either bought another one or
you
traded
would
it in and
go
got something else. Right.
Read a review in a magazine, or in more recent eras, you would watch a show like ours and get like firsthand review information for free.
Right.
This is kind of taking it to the next level, where now they're not only getting you to give them information back, you're paying them to do so.
Right.
And I'm just not, this trend is, I'm not okay with this. And you guys are welcome to leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you think. I feel like we are heading in this direction, and I think honestly it's because people just won't say no.
True. Yeah, I agree with that. This is very commonplace in the EV world right now, Keith.
Now, this
more
isn't
and more common.
This isn't to say that this isn't interesting and cool. The Myers-Banks it's cool. I don't know, and I couldn't get any information on whether or not it's going to be, you know, DOT street legal in the United States, but I would guess so.
It will be.
And did you happen to notice that at this private event where they unveiled it, did you see Jay Leno in the picture there?
I did. I did. Jay Leno is
kind of hard to miss
everything.
You just look for the denim shirt, right? The blue denim shirt.
Pretty much, man. I tell you, it's so funny. I sure hope he makes it to SEMA this year. That'd be great. Maybe this vehicle will be there.
It could be.
Yeah.
So there are other details on this one. They're going to offer over-the-air updates, which you almost have to do now, especially in the EV world.
Right. So let's give some specs on this too.
Go ahead.
They're saying it'll go 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. Has an estimated range of around 150 and 300 miles respectively, which honestly that's pretty good. They're saying that this vehicle is probably only going to weigh between 15 to 1,650 pounds depending on the battery size.
Mm-hmm. Looks like it's a convertible. Looks like it's got a removable, in the prototype it has a removable hardtop.
It's kind of a hatch.
Yeah.
That leans forward in this thing, which is pretty cool. So it's nothing special. Again, it's just a modern version of that. It's going to be an electric vehicle.
2 battery pack capacities. Did you mention that? 20 kilowatt hours and 40.
You got it.
And those are your 2 different ranges that you mentioned earlier.
That's it. And honestly, the back end of this thing, to some degree, when I looked at it from the overhead, it almost looked like a Mini Cooper.
It does. And honestly, if you're just going to take this thing out and, you know, run it off-road, that smaller battery pack would probably be fine. I mean, you're not... How far are you going to, you know... You're going to do 150 miles off-road in a day is not... that doesn't happen.
No, that's a lot of beating that you're going to take, because we haven't even gotten into the suspension of this thing. We don't even know what the underpinning is going to really be like. But it'll be fun to see. Can't wait for more information to become available for that. If, you know, they're looking for 50 people to beta test this thing, they're going to be calling you a beta pioneer. There you go. If you want to be a beta pioneer.
Ooh. I mean, you can make me director of the company. If you're not going to pay me, it doesn't matter. You know. Right. But again, I'll let that go.
So there you go. Go get you a buggy, man, and call it good. Oh man, where do we go now, Keith? We have so much to talk about. We really do. Do we want to get into? Let's talk a little bit about how the Charger and Challenger are going to be going away.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Boy, as you know it.
This is on the one hand, we kind of all saw this coming. And, if you've listened to us for any amount of time, you knew it was coming. And if you haven't listened to us for any amount of time, why not? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you're watching this in video format. Please and thank you. We'd appreciate that very much. So I'm going to take this I have some comments. I have some thoughts. No surprise there. But probably not what you would expect. But I got to tell you, Jay, like... I've spent a little bit more time on Twitter recently. By the way, we're at The Counter Show on Twitter, everybody, if you want to follow us. And this is a heavily, heavily brought up point of conversation in automotive feeds. In fact, anytime that the official Dodge account makes a comment, there's usually someone with a response that has to do with the discontinuation of both the Challenger and the Charger in the internal combustion form. Like it's not going over well. And I would even go so far as to say, Jay, when we introduced the the C8 Corvette,
right,
mid-engine, and you went out and you talked to some people about how they felt about that, and it was kind of polarizing.
It was really polarizing. In fact, to the point to where we could not even put on tape what some people had to say about it. It was so disturbing how angry they were about it. Really,
this is I think more polarizing than that, if that's possible. Yeah. And what I'm worried could happen is people could just, the 5 fans that Stellantis has today, I'm kidding, everybody, they may go somewhere else. And the fact that everybody's going EV and you're not going to have a choice, I don't think is going to matter to people. They're just going to be done with it. I hope I'm wrong. But, man, I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see how Stellantis handles this, but it's going to be a tricky road to navigate.
Well, I think we saw the writing on the wall back a year ago, Keith, whenever two things here to point out. Stellantis came out and said there's no way that we can keep up with the all-electric demand that is being pushed. Mm-hmm. Financially, we just cannot do that. So what do you do to compete with that? You got to start cutting things. And when they disassembled the SRT team and then just kind of dispersed them across the Stellantis group in various directions, whether it be Fiat, Alfa, whoever, they all went in those directions. And so we knew that something was going to be happening. But when you see them cramming a Hellcat into a Jeep, cramming one into a Ram, we're thinking, there's hope for the internal combustion engine with Dodge and Jeep and Ram, and Stellantis as a whole. I'm thinking, well, that's great. That's their flagship. The Hemi was it was their flagship over the last decade for sure. Now we're cutting 2 of their iconic vehicles that it's like, you remember the hamburger commercials, man, where the Hardys or whoever it was that just had the huge hamburgers that had like 3 or 4 patties on them, like just way too much. And these commercials, they're just dripping juice down. That's what, if you put that against what the Charger and the Challenger were in the automotive industry, that's what they are.
All right.
Does that make sense to you? Does that analogy?
Yes. So let's break this down a little bit, because I've spent some time thinking about this, okay? And I'm sure you have too.
Right.
There's really, of the people that buy these automobiles, Challenger and Charger, there's really 2 big appeals. There are other appeals. There's a list when you go and you're like, I like these factors, but there's 2 that are always way at the top. This car gets used in a lot of drag races on the weekends. I know YouTubers that do that, and then they're, out there putting the content out, right? So the first category is that iconic sound, okay? Right. And that's a draw. Like, whether you like it or not, that very throaty, gnarly Hemi sound is is iconic as the brand is itself, right?
It's as iconic as the Harley Davidson sound.
Yeah,
which
you hear them like when I see one on the street. I'm disappointed if I don't get to hear that.
Right.
If that guy doesn't get on it when the light changes or whatever, I feel a little bit cheated.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing that I have to say here, and we don't talk about it very much on our show, but we're going to talk about it today, which is the history of basically the performance side. Mopar, man. I mean, it's Mopar. This has hit hard for the Mopar crowd.
Okay. So now you're bringing up my second point. And my second point is power. This car in a straight line, sorry if you guys that are trying to put these on tracks are offended by that comment, but I hold to it. In a straight line, they're tough to beat. There's a reason why you see a lot of these in the neighborhood or the little community quarter mile weekend Friday night events, because there's a lot of power distribution to those rear wheels from that engine, and they do really, really well in drag races. So as far as that goes, and as far as the Mopar crowd is concerned, Dodge makes an effort to speak to them with this this concept vehicle that they released a short video on. Did you watch it?
I did watch it, yes.
And did you happen to notice that the person narrating it sounds an awful lot like Vin Diesel?
Yes.
And so if it's not Vin Diesel, it really sounds like somebody that's a sound-alike, right?
True.
And they focus in that commercial on just raw power. I mean, all four wheels are smoking, so they're showing you it's an electric vehicle with power to all four wheels. They're going out of their way for that Mopar crowd to say, we got your power. It's coming.
Yeah. Absolutely. But sadly, what's funny is they have canned sound, okay?
Yeah.
And that's the mockery
because
of this.
It's electric.
Absolutely it is.
And that weaves us back to my first point of why people buy these things to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They like to get that iconic sound.
If you artificially put that in there, you're gonna get laughed at. I don't see that being appealing.
Well, it's not appealing, and they were demonstrating that sound, which, by the way, they call it the Fratzonic, which comes from, and you'll notice the logo when they revealed this. It's right on the front of the car, the Fratzog logo that was used by Mopar or Dodge from 62 through 76. It basically features a split deltoid made of three arrowhead shapes that form a three-pointed star. That was pretty iconic back in the days. But they're using that on this electric version of this Challenger. And they wanted to bring the sound for you. They wanted to, tag it with something, so they call it Fratzonic sound. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I think it's stupid. I don't know what else to say about it. Now, let's get past that.
Well,
okay,
okay, and I'm.
You don't want?
No, that's
Go
fine.
ahead.
I'm. Yeah.
I could see this car coming out, but don't call it an SRT Daytona.
Okay.
Challenger.
So I'm gonna split hairs with you here on something, and I know this is superficial, and it's. You guys that are real muscleheads can make fun of me for pointing to this, but it bothers me. It bothers me, and I'm willing to bet that I'm not alone in this. So you actually, and I don't know if this was like a Freudian slip or what, a couple minutes ago you referred to this as the Challenger. It's not. Yeah. It's the Charger Daytona SRT concept. Oh,
see, it is a Freudian
But here's
slip.
why you probably did that, and this is the problem that I have with this concept vehicle. How many doors you see, Jay?
Yeah.
How many doors does a Challenger have?
2.
How many doors does the Charger have?
4.
For those of you keeping up at home, this one has 2 doors, and they are calling it a Charger.
That's right.
I can't,
and that was a slip.
No, that is not okay. That is not okay. I like I said, you guys that are, if it's got 2 doors, it needs to be a Challenger, which is what you called it, but it's got 4 doors.
Well, if you look at the and also if you, and to err on my side a little bit even more, if you look at the body overall, it does definitely look like a Challenger.
Yeah, I mean, but why are we? Yeah, so
does it even really matter?
So you're going to further homogenize this whole situation even more so than you already have, and okay, and this goes into a little bit of the Dodge Omni thing that we're probably not going to get into, but
I don't even see it's an Omni. I don't want to talk about that either. Yeah,
but the Kia Stinger was a good example of this, and to some extent, the Charger is also a good example of this. It's for those people that want a muscle car but need 4 doors.
Right.
And Porsche's gotten into that over a decade ago, and there is proof in sales numbers that there are people that want that you must have more than 2 doors, but you still want to have a muscle car.
Right.
And I feel like that's been the crowd that they were able to cater to with the Charger. And I feel like to some extent that's also what they were trying to do with the Omni. And I feel like if you're going to throw 2 doors on it, you're marketing that to a completely different crowd. A lot of times those people don't have kids, or it's a third car, what have you. But your enthusiasts, the people that are interested in that, are not the same people. If you call it a Charger, they're not going to buy it if it only has 2 doors. So okay, I'll put that one to bed.
That's a very valid point, and I mean I don't even, the 2-door 4-door thing didn't even come to my mind, and yeah, I can definitely see me mistaking that with the name, but I mean that's just a slip of some Freudian, whatever, I don't know whatever you call it, but I'm just having a whole problem with this thing, period, because I just don't understand how you can call it a muscle car, and that's what they're trying to do here, and they're throwing everything they possibly can at it that would piss off a Mopar guy, which the Fratzonic logo, associating Daytona with it. I mean, come on. Is there an electric vehicle? When is the first NASCAR electric vehicle hitting the track?
Okay, so let's take that to another level, and let's look at the competition. Ford, Chevrolet, General Motors. Okay, all the other guys, and I'm not trying to say that you do what everybody else is doing, but it would seem to me like your performance sector, you wait. Those are the last ones that you retire. You leave your internal combustion engines in your Mustangs, in your Corvettes, and so on. Even Corvette has said our next generation that contains electric, it's not going to be all electric. It's going to be electric assist. So you're going to still have some engine sound. I feel like making this one of the first vehicles. I mean, they don't even have, they're doing away with both of those cars. And they don't even have an electric pickup truck out yet. They've announced it's coming, but it's not out yet. Right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I would have thought that to ease themselves into that electric vehicle market heavily, which obviously they are moving that direction, but I'm still so baffled that this GLH that they just came out with is
little goes like hell. Yeah,
it's a 2.0 liter turbo. It's not. It's a gasoline engine.
For somebody that wants performance, but they can't afford a bigger car, and they need a sedan. They need a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not a minivan or a truck or whatever. And honestly, and everybody, I welcome your comments. Right? Maybe I'm missing something here, but it is starting to look like they don't know what the hell they're doing in Stellantis.
Well, that's the thing, and I think we said that in previous podcasts that they're all over the place right now.
Well, a year ago, their CEO came out and said, we can't afford to go all electric. It doesn't make sense for us. And then they did a 180 on that, and now it's like they're fishing, you know?
I'll say this. I think that they dropped their line in a very in a pond of piranhas with this one, buddy, because I just don't understand how you can do that. One vehicle, cut one vehicle, the Charger.
Sure. There you go. Yeah.
Cut the Charger.
Play around with that.
Because of what it is. Don't come out of the chute calling it a Daytona and putting the Fratzonic logo on there and making it sound like this thing is going to be the next thing since sliced bread. That is yet to come to fruition.
And ironically, racing. And I think there's more made of this story maybe than there should be. But
really?
The Idaho State Police announced, kind of coincidentally, that they would not be buying any more. What were they? They were Chargers, right? They were the 4-doors. And they said, nah, we're done. Now,
it's the Charger Pursuit is what they call it.
Yeah, right. That could be for a lot of reasons. It could be that a lot of these police departments are needing more SUVs, and they're better suited for that.
And when you look into this and the story that we are referring that Keith and I got our hands on, this was in 2019 where they were moving away from the Charger Pursuit, and they ordered a bunch of Ford SUVs, which would be the Explorers, probably the Police Interceptor, which is not uncommon.
But we know, and we've commented on this many times, that EVs do great 0 to 60, and in a lot of ways they will beat most internal combustion engines. But it's that sustained high-speed pursuit that they do not do well at. That's where your internal combustion engine, when you get into speeds of 100 miles an hour plus, which if this is highway patrol, yes, they're doing that. I've been in cars, hey Jerry, with with these guys in the fog, holding my nuts, hoping we don't, like, a deer doesn't run out in front of us, doing 100 plus in, with state troopers. Not. By the way, let me clarify. Not in the back seat, not with handcuffs. This was back in the days of ride-along. Just to be clear. Okay.
Right.
But I'm saying that they a lot of times have to respond quickly. These guys are trained to drive fast. They do it all the time. We've seen them do it on the interstates. If you're going to do that in an EV, it's probably not the best suited application.
Probably not. So to that end, they're saying New York City has already ordered 184 Ford Mustang Mach-Es.
Well, different, right? Because they don't have wide open interstate that they need to do pursuit, right?
And I did not realize this, that the Chevrolet has introduced the 2024 Blazer EV police pursuit vehicle.
Well,
the SUVs, the crossovers are becoming more and more common with the police departments. I see that a lot more.
There's good reason for that,
Yeah, the Ford, well, they can carry their gear.
Right.
And they can still throw 2 people, 3 people in the back end in handcuffs and still make it work. Especially if you're a K9 unit, they work out very well.
Bringing back the paddy wagon.
Gosh, man, I swear. Look, people, stay tuned. I mean, I'm not happy about seeing that go away, but it is. And
but Jay, you love EVs. That's all you talk about is electric vehicles.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Well,
I keep telling you guys we're objective on this program. Like, we just tend to try to deal in, facts.
Well, we take a lot of flack for talking about it. That is for sure, and we don't talk about it intentionally.
We go where the story is.
We just want to bring you where the news is, and unfortunately, for you internal combustion engine lovers out there and us. Electric vehicles have taken the spotlight lately, and it's not going away. There's a big bill that was just passed that I'm sure a lot of you are not happy about. That's encouraging the more production of EVs. It's happening, folks. So, wow, man, I just feel out of sorts for some reason today. I don't know why. Maybe I have a lot on my mind. Maybe it's because I don't know. I'm a little sad. little sad about the Dodge's moves.
I think
they're not even Dodge anymore.
I think you need some Snoop loops.
Yeah, Snoop Loops would be good.
You need something from the Snoop Dogg repertoire. I'm not sure if it's cereal or not.
Cue Willie Nelson, please. Cue Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson? I don't. Oh, I see. Yeah,
I don't have any Willie Nelson.
I don't have any Willie. I can get you some Willie.
Right.
But yeah.
So let's talk about how Ford. Ooh, that's Snoop Loop music, man.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Seems like Ford has a fix on something.
All right. Okay, but before we get too far into this, everyone, I just want to say, if you're new to this, if you're just seeing this, if you haven't checked us out before, give us a fair chance. We're going to be a little tough love situation here with Ford. We've done a lot of content in months and years past that's very positive. But we try to stay objective here. We try to be factual, and we try to, be truthful. And there's some truth in this situation that doesn't look good for Ford. So I would say, if this is your only exposure, if this video is your only exposure to us, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up, check out one of the other videos, and before you make a decision,
right,
give us a fair shot.
We don't hate Ford, but we're here to inform you guys, okay? So, bottom line. So, Ford has been recently accused of botching a fix for hybrids involved in a recent recall over fire concerns and a new class action lawsuit. It was filed in Michigan by a law firm representing some of the 100,000 owners of the Ford Escape, the Ford Maverick, and Lincoln Corsair hybrids. Now, that is a 2.5 liter, guys, for those of you who are keeping up with this. They traced it to a motor, to the 2.5 liter four-cylinder hybrid motor, to fluid leaking from the engine block or oil pan, which could pool near the hot surfaces in the engine bay and exhaust system, potentially causing smoke and fire. Okay, no big deal, right? Yeah.
Now, how to further prove the legitimacy of this, that 2.5 liter engine that Jay just mentioned, anything with that, Ford paused sales of in, I think it was July, right?
It was, yeah.
So there were 23 reports that Ford says they know of, but it was significant enough to Ford for them to hold up on sales of anything that had this engine in it until they came up with a fix. So this is not one of those stories that could be maybe taken out of context, be made a bigger deal. If Ford thinks it's a big enough deal to pause sales on it, it's a big deal.
Right.
All right.
It is a very big deal, and we're going to get into. We happen to have our hands on the actual recall and the fix that Ford, in writing, has advised its dealerships. Okay.
So, and by the way, please. So, let's. I didn't mean to pull you off track there. Is there, before we get into the recommended fix that you have documentation on, is there anything details wise about the potential incident itself that we haven't covered?
Yeah. So look, the company is advising its owners, still awaiting to have the vehicle fixed or repaired, to park and shut off the engine as quickly as possible if you hear unexpected engine noises or notice a reduction in vehicle power or see smoke. Ooh, that's important, guys. That's important to know. The Ford fix does not, by the way, and we're going to get into that, does not cover something very important here. The key factor here is that we know that we have fluids that are leaking and they're causing smoke or fire in some cases.
All right.
Making it very dangerous for you to park in your garage.
In general terms, what is the fix? What was the initial fix recommended by Ford?
Oh, do you want me to pull that out?
Just in general terms. You don't have to get specific.
Well, first of all, they said don't park in your garage.
Yeah, okay. But that's not a fix. That's like,
no.
If you don't want to get pregnant, don't have sex. I mean, that's not...
Right. I mean, if you're asking me, and I'm going to go this. Okay, so the reason for the safety recall, let's get into this. Okay, service action before demonstrating or delivering any new in-stock vehicles, like you just said.
You're going to get technical. Okay.
Yeah. Dealers are to modify the front under engine shield by creating additional drain holes and modify the AGS system by removing 4 blinds. This service must be performed on all affected vehicles at no charge to the vehicle owner. Did you hear what I just said?
They're adding holes to let this fluid that's leaking drain.
Correct. That is exactly right.
Well, that doesn't stop the actual leak, though.
That's the problem we have here. This is why Ford is being sued. This is why Ford is being sued, guys.
Well, and honestly, I'm not so sure if I have a new vehicle, newish, and I take it to a dealer and their solution is drill holes. First of all, I don't buy any car that I consider disposable. If I consider it a disposable vehicle, I'm probably not buying it. I want to take care of what I got.
I am looking all over this recall notice and this fix that I have. There is nothing that I can find that addresses the actual leaking of the fluids at all. It is just mainly to allow fluids to drain through, and that's it. I don't know what to say about this, dude.
And you have, to be clear, you pulled the service bulletin. You have the service bulletin that shows. I mean, you just read part of it.
Yeah, it's the general recall reimbursement plan is right here. As submitted to the NHTS.
Yeah, so this is firsthand. This is firsthand information, everybody. This is not us getting this fix from some other source. Jay's got it in front of him.
This is coming straight from Ford Motor Company. David J. Johnson, Director, Service Engineering Operations, Ford Customer Service Division. This was issued on August the 10th of this year.
2022.
All U.S. Ford. It's addressed to all U.S. Ford and Lincoln dealers. They are telling their dealers how to deal with this problem, and it is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. This is the worst, in my opinion, thing that an original equipment manufacturer could do for its brand.
Yeah.
What does this say to its loyal customers?
Well, it says a couple things to me. First of all, it says we're not sure how to fix it, so we're going to try to just bridge the gap. And
no, I think it says, you said it says a couple things.
Yes.
I think it says we know how to fix it, but that's going to cost too much. So we can prevent a lot of fires if we just let the fluid go away and it doesn't catch on fire.
That's an interesting. Okay, so on that note, I should mention this is not the first time that Ford or other companies, to be fair to Ford, have made moves like this that are not where they clearly have evidence of a big problem and their solution does not meet the level of problem that they caused. Somebody that paid a lot of money for a vehicle is probably still making payments on that vehicle, and it has an existing warranty on that vehicle. I think the expectation there by most people is, I want it fixed right. Do you remember, Jay, years back, you and I had the conversation where I had bought a brand new Ford F-150. It was a 1997. I had less than 30,000 miles on it. I had owned it for 2 years, and the lifter started clattering. You remember us talking about this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I took it to a Ford dealer, and they said, we don't know. And we called Ford, and they don't know. And we know that there's a problem, but they just don't have a fix yet.
Right.
And I eventually kept just taking it to different Ford dealers, and one of them fully replaced the engine with a remanufactured engine.
Which was the right thing to do.
But it took 4 or 5 visits. I mean, it was a mess, right?
Right.
And so for a while there, they just didn't want to deal with it because replacing an engine isn't cheap.
No.
But there's absolutely no reason that a vehicle that's well maintained and under warranty and has adequate service records should have lifters clattering with less than 30,000 miles on a Triton V8. It just shouldn't happen.
Absolutely, 100% correct.
And you said, oh, yeah, we have service bulletins and we have found fixes for that because you, my friend, are not alone. We're aware of that problem.
Right.
And I think had even at some point made Ford aware of the fix.
Absolutely. Look, man, GM went through the same thing with their active fuel management lifters, and I'm even finding out new stuff today about that particular situation where GM is switching suppliers on that particular lifter that was having a tremendous amount of problem with the pins sticking and causing the clatter.
I mean, sometimes these things sound like diesels. It's like, you got a diesel? No, it's
terrible
gas.
Stuff. You got to understand, these vehicles are so, with the technology, some of the things that they're doing electronically to the mechanical side. I mean, the mechanics are only doing what it's told to do. It's in the electronic side that's causing some of these problems.
Yeah.
But you got to have both working with one another. And so that's the problem that GM has had with the I think they're on their 4th generation of that particular lifter. And I think that your Ford was on the 3rd generation of that particular lifter. So there's a number of things that go wrong with these things. Let me get out there for these folks real quick. And look, everybody, we're going to put this on our website, this particular recall, so you can see it for yourself. We'll put a link up for that. It's in a PDF form. You're welcome to print it off, do what you want with it. But what's important to note is the vehicles and the years that they cover. So for the Lincoln Corsair, that would be the 2021, 2022 year models. The build dates on those would be October 24, 2019 through June 13, 2022. The Ford Escape, 2020 through 2022 year models affected. Also January 9, 2019 through June 13, 2022. And then the Ford Maverick, our beloved Maverick, that's not the car, the truck, the compact truck, 2022 year models, the first year model right out of the chute. The build dates are February 3, 2021 through July 7, 2022. And oddly enough, they are assembled in 2 different plants. The Hermosillo. Yeah.
Would not have guessed that.
Yep, the assembly plant for the Corsair and Escape are the same in Louisville, and then the Maverick is Hermosillo. So there you go. That is all of that. If you have one of these vehicles that are affected, we always tell you guys, make sure you have your full VIN in hand.
Good point.
Contact your dealer with that, and they will tell you whether or not your vehicle's affected. That is basically the DNA of your vehicle, and I would get on that as quickly as possible. And I don't know who is affected by this class action lawsuit, but apparently it seems like the folks up in Michigan are already on that. So stay tuned for that problem to be resolved.
Side tangent, Jay, as we bring this to a wrap. Who at Ford and specifically Lincoln thought it was a good idea to start naming their cars? Like, are we selling airplanes or cars? Which is it? I'm confused. We have the Corsair, we have the Navigator, we have the Aviator. I mean, what are we doing here? Right?
Yeah, no, man. You know what's funny though is that some of these names are. This is like the 2nd or 3rd time they're trying to run with them.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me to see some of the older Ford names like Sunliner or something like that come out on some of these newer vehicles.
I mean, the Navigators are cool. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I
get your point.
Are we flying these things or are we driving them? What's the,
Explorer and Excursion, I can understand.
Yeah.
Because those are vehicles that are meant to kind of go, off-road. But again, it's classes that you put these guys in. The Lincolns are supposed to be high-end VIP type vehicles. So I guess.
So what you're telling me is that if I buy a Corsair, I become the equivalent of a World War II carrier landing fighter pilot.
You're Maverick. You're Maverick. No, wait a minute. You can't be Maverick if there's already a Maverick.
Yeah. Well,
Maverick.
that was the
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Maverick.
Yeah.
You see what I'm over there, right?
Yeah.
Well, look. Hey,
the Corsair was a little before his time.
Look, Ford's running across the ground in their Explorer, and Lincoln is flying over, man, and it's Aviator. So there you go. Ba-dum-bum. Right? Wow. Okay, Ford, go get it right. We're pulling for you. There you have it. Not really, but good luck. Wow. I'm going to let you lead us in here because you're the bigger... Well, I shouldn't say that. I've become...
It's debatable.
It is. I've actually become more and more intrigued with the fandom of the Hoff. Right?
Yeah.
Michael? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you do a Michael?
I just do this.
I hate to be the one to break this to you, but automobiles are not human. They have no lineage or personality.
I wonder why I keep forgetting that.
I think the more that you kind of reflect on TV shows many times, even to this day, are corny or the budget's so low that you have to kind of suspend your, you're not going to get the amazing CGI effects that you would get in a movie. Mm-mm. But here we have a TV show from the 80s, from the mid-80s, that was 3 decades, almost 4 decades ahead of its time in the fact that they had a car that talks to you, which if you have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto now, you can interface with pretty much any automobile. Self-driving, which we now have. It's very prominent, right? Like, there's so many things that car had that now it's life imitating art, so to speak.
It is.
And so I can see why the fandom is so huge. And, look, I loved the show as a kid, too. Like, I was a fan of anything that had, we've talked before about cars and TV shows having this partnership that always seemed to be, the car many times was a character, was a star on the show, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This one for sure.
And so, we've talked before about this, and we've got a video out that we did. How long has it been, Jay? A year?
At least a year, and it's amazing to me at how many people are so passionate about that show.
Yeah.
Because we basically, there's been a couple of reboots of this that just didn't work.
Yeah, there was a TV show. So, the guy that did, I think, I forget, but one of the directors behind Fast and the Furious has the rights now. We've got a video out there on this. If you guys are interested, it's on YouTube, youtube.com/partscountergurus, where a Knight Rider movie has been in the works for a while now. Whether it will ever make it to the light of day, it's hard to say, but apparently the Hoff now has a hand in it. I don't know if you knew that.
If he's got a hand in it, they should roll with it, because Hoff is the man. You can't replace Hoff.
You'll have to, and we've seen suggestions in our comments that maybe he comes back and he's the new Devin or whatever. Anyway,
I like that idea.
So we found, and we just found the story, but the guy, one of the fans in Knight Rider Historians, found the original trailer, the semi-tractor trailer that was used in the flag, they called it, on the show, where the car would drive into the back of the... There's my dog.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So anyway, car would drive into the back of the, which always amazed me, how they could pull that stunt off, right?
Right.
So he started just going through it and basically trying to figure out how they did pull that off.
So, yeah, but what to me is how he confirmed that it was what it was, the year it was. I was intrigued with how much effort that this guy has put into this to find this stuff. They found the actual tractor, the semi itself.
It was in Idaho, I believe,
It was in Idaho. They found it as well. And that was like, I think, a 77 or 78 model in that range, GMC General. It was a diesel. I think some of them had N14 Cummins in them. Some had Caterpillars in them. But the GMC General was like that. It just had that look to it, man. Almost like you knew a Mack truck when you saw one. Right. You knew a General when you saw one, and that's what they used in this. So very, very similar in that regard in pop culture. But I was intrigued with the efforts that he went into to try to explain why he knew this thing was it. Dorsey Trailers is the company, the brand on this particular trailer. They're
racing trailers.
Correct.
So if you see those today, you see a racing trailer today at an event, NASCAR,
correct,
Moto America, MotoGP, anything like that. A lot of times, if you're fortunate enough to look in the back of one, and I've probably got pictures, I could throw something up here. A lot of times they'll have a hydraulic lift, and you'll have 2 levels in those. They're massive, and you have a workshop on one level, and sometimes the vehicle itself will be stored and lifted on the second level, or it depends on how they're designed. And then there can also be some living quarters in them as well.
Absolutely, and this trailer has been painted several times. It has been modified on the interior of the trailer to suit the needs of whoever was owning it at the time. You can see the remnants of the track that it is mounted to the roof panels, where it was the probably part of the pulley system for the actual gate, the drop down gate, and then the 2 ramps that came down as well.
Yeah,
but the
so
one thing,
the back door acted as a gate, as you just said.
Correct.
And then there were
Yep.
ramps that extended past that actually drug
Correct.
on the ground that the front wheels of the vehicle made contact with first.
right, absolutely. And what was interesting, and he shared this in some of the video, and I do encourage you guys to go over and follow these guys, and that's Knight Rider Historians. If you are truly a Knight Rider fan, if you're not already watching this guy, AJ and Joe, they're doing a fantastic job with trying to bring this thing back to life. But, just some of the stuff that they've gone through, like I said, to confirm that this is what it is. For example, they looked at photos of dissected photos from the 80s, where it was owned by other people. In the process of doing this, they noticed that the original door, which is a roll-up door, like a garage door, like you see, it's very common on trailers, tractor-trailer trailers like this. That door, the original door, is factory door, and it was still in place, and it was as it was being used in Knight Rider, the on-screen trailer as it was being used. That you can see that in a scene where they analyze the scene. You can see that. So as proof that this door was definitely a custom build and probably only used for the stunts.
Right.
And within the story, he goes into telling where he became friends with one of the guys on the set that was part of the crew there, had the door. And but apparently it got scrapped, so the door is now it's no longer available. But they got rid of it they would not sell the trailer with that door on it for liability reasons. That is the bottom line.
Because
and
somebody's going to go out there and try to
going to go out there and try to exactly. Mythbusters tried it. And
okay.
So
this is the science part of this that is mind-boggling to me. Now, are you aware of the outcome of that of what Mythbusters did?
I don't think it went too well.
I remember watching it, but I don't know, it's been probably 20 years now. It's been a while.
Right.
And I went back and found some footage from the original episodes where they tried this. They tried it first, and I remember this because I thought it was clever. They used an RC car, and they had a treadmill thing, and then they had the little scaled down side tractor trailer, right, and then they had the ramps, and they had the RC car, and then what they were expecting to happen, which is what you would think would happen, is as soon as those front wheels catch, the inertia of the vehicle is just going to go flying into the back of it. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't, because when you think about objects in motion tending to stay in motion, it's the actual vehicle itself, not the speed of the wheels.
Right, that makes sense.
So,
that makes sense.
Sure enough, the front wheels hit, and the RC car didn't even have any brakes on it, and it went in, and it was able to stop before it rammed into the front side of the trailer, right?
Right.
So then they get into the whole thing like, we think this is going to work, but we're not quite sure, so we've got all these safety teams and safety gears and 5-point harnesses, and who knows, and they had I think it was actually like a Camaro.
Yeah,
and they tried this with.
It was a Camaro.
And dude pulled it up into the back at about 30, 35 miles an hour and went right on the ramp and had no issues.
Yeah.
And then he doubled down and he went, I want to do highway speeds. Let's do 55. And in the rain.
Oof.
And did it and had no issues. So then the other guy, I think his name was Jamie, was like, well, now I got to do that. If he did that, I'm backing this sucker out. Backed it out. Same deal. Dropped it right off. Things moving down the road. Stopped the car. Did a little burnout for show. No problem, right?
Right.
It's mind-blowing that works, everybody.
Yeah, it is. That's why they're stunt drivers and we're not.
Right.
I have a hard time driving one up on a trailer when it's not moving. You know, the trailer not moving. Maybe it's easier while the trailer is moving. I don't know. Maybe I should try that sometime.
Put my motorcycle in the back of my toy hauler, and there are moments, you know, depends on the slope and all that, when you got to just trust in Goose, man.
Exactly, man. Here's the deal, though, man. Let's drop. We'll drop AJ and Joe's video from Knight Rider Historians as a link in this video for you guys. And for bonus, we'll go find the Mythbusters version, like you said. I think that'd be fun for people to watch. We'll have them check that out. But we're going to stay on top of this thing because this is actually a work in progress for the Knight Rider Historians to get this thing. They're trying to restore this thing to its original on-screen look, and they are uncovering things daily. To put them on the right path. So I can't wait to see this thing finished. The other thing I would like to do right now is say, Knight Rider Historians, if you guys are willing to come on our podcast and talk a little bit about the excitement that you have going on behind this, we'd love to have you on our show. So please reach out to us, AJ and Joe. We'll reach out to you guys, and let's see if we can't get you guys on here and tell our fans all about this. We'd love to have you. So stay tuned, guys. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I could do that. Could you?
Yeah.
Okay, so who's in charge of that? Where's our PR team at, man?
Let me get my people on that.
My peeps, yeah. So that's pretty cool, man. I'm glad that you brought that up again. You know, we were talking about this, guys. We are still just blown away at how much you guys are still digging that video that we shot a year or so ago on Knight Rider. And we asked you guys what that vehicle should be if they brought it back. We thought maybe, you know, an EV, maybe the DeLorean, now that it's an EV and stuff like that. You know, hey, you can still drop us a comment. But I will say this. I was the one saying just move on from what it was. But now I'm like, after watching the restoration videos and the stuff that these historians are going through and understanding the love that the fans of this show have for this, and I mean they are into it, man. I'm like totally on board. I don't want to see them change it. If they're going to bring it back, make it a modern Trans Am with similar looks, which they are doing a lot with that Camaro. The new Camaro, they have brought back a Pontiac Trans Am that looks like the Bandit. They have brought back a Chevelle SS that looks like a 69 or 70 model Chevy Chevelle. So it can be done in modern form. So I say stay true to it. Leave it at that and be done with it, man. Don't make it an EV. Let's be an ICE motor. Internal combustion engine, I don't care. EV works because of the modern technology that's out there, I guess. And like you said, you're looking at now it's commonplace for some of the things that are in the original kit car that, you know,
yeah,
I mean, it just
I think
makes sense
that was
to
a
me.
big appeal of the show, was that they were so futuristic, and even at that point, we all thought none of this is realistically going to be possible in the future. Like, it would be fun to consider it, but little did we know, like, the amount of things they got right. And, you know, I think there has to be an element of that if they're going to continue it, you know, in the sense that it has to be far enough into the future. It has to be futuristic. You know, back then it was, well, the car's bulletproof and self-driving, and, you know, all you basically had the equivalent of GPS. And, oh, by the way, later on, I think it was season 2 or 3 or whatever, he had the watch that he could talk to his car. I mean, we all have that stuff now. You almost have to do that kind of Star Trek kind of move where it's like, what will cars be like 20 years from now? And that's what this guy needs access to, or 30 years from now.
Like
right?
the Challenger, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, yeah. I don't know that would go over well with the true Knight Rider fans.
It would not go over well at all. Mopar does not belong as kit at all, in my opinion. I would say it GM product for sure. Maybe the new C8. What do they call it? The E-Ray.
I call it the anglerfish, but you know,
the anglerfish, yeah. Which you can catch that video too, by the way, if you want, over at youtube.com/PartsCounterGurus. Golly, man! Hey, check us out over on social media, Facebook.com/PartsCounterGurus, Instagram.com. We are the Parts Counter Gurus. We're on Twitter. That would be our handle is at The Counter Show is who we are. And again, we're on every single platform out there when it comes to our podcast. So make sure you subscribe to every one of those. For us, it helps support our show as well. And you'll be informed when new stuff comes out if you are subscribed. So there you go. Keep doing that for us. And thank you so much if you are. I don't know.
That's a show. That's the show for
it?
today,
Is that
everybody.
A wrap? Is that
That's
a
the
wrap?
show.
Golly. Are you going to take us out with anything, man?
I am. What you say it like that? It's like you're hoping I don't, or you have something planned, or
No.
That's a loaded question if I've ever heard one.
No, I really want you to take us out.
Okay.
And I'm just saying. I'm always look forward to it. But I've got a lot on my plate this week.
You got a little Fred Flintstone thing. You ready to yabba dabba do out of here?
Yabba dabba do out of here.
You gonna slide down the? What was that? A like crane or a? It was like a dinosaur's back, but it was supposed to be like a rock quarry crane thing, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. It was actually a spine and of something.
Are you getting ready to do a? You got like a keynote coming up or something? You guys aren't watching this. You're listening to the podcast. He's dressed like Steve Jobs today.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the black. It's not a turtleneck though. It's just a regular.
All I want is his money, dude.
There's that. There's that. Okay, got it. Yeah. All right, everybody. As always, thank you for making us part of your lives. We appreciate it. I've brought this up before. I'm going to bring it up for a while. If you're listening to us on the podcast side, please go over and leave a comment on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. Just let people know. Give us a review. Tell everybody what you think. If you don't like it, please reach out to Jay first.
Yeah, do that. So that I can forward that on to Keith.
But if you do like it, of course, go right ahead. We look forward to the next one. So until that time, that is my pal Jay over there. I'm Keith. Don't count the days. Make the days count. See you guys on the next one.